Morning folks, hey, how you all doing? It's Mark here. I hope you're all well wherever you are in the world. I thought I'd make a different kind of video today. This is just going to be me giving an opinion about something. So I hope you're all going to like it. This is going to be quite a controversial subject. So I suspect some people might be upset about this. But hey, we're all entitled to an opinion, and it's about the Band-Aid 30 single, Do They Know It's Christmas? For those of you who may not know, they've made another version of the original Band-Aid song to try and raise money for Ebola, to fight Ebola and for the victims of Ebola in Africa. I don't know, there's something that makes me feel very uncomfortable about this, and again, this is just my opinion. It comes across to me as a sort of cynical exercise in self-promotion, self-promoting Bob Geldofs, self-promoting the manufacturers, the awful manufactured pop stars that are taking part. The first thing that immediately leaps out to me about the song is that it's an awful song. It sounds as if they've recorded it in somebody's bathtub. It sounds echoey and tinny, and the singing on the actual song is not of any kind of decent quality. So the song itself is terrible. Okay, that's probably not that important because it's going to raise a huge ton of money to help people who are suffering. So maybe the quality of the song isn't very important. The second thing that leaps out at me, and this is probably something else that is a bit more serious, and I feel very strongly about this, is I find there are a number of lyrics in this song that are actually some of the lyrics are actually an offensive lie. There seems to be an obsession in Western media, mass media and Western culture with portraying Africa as this kind of, the entire continent of Africa as this kind of diseased, infected, pestilential, poverty-stricken place, where everybody is kind of starving to death and dropping dead with disease and illness and terrorism and stuff, and that's just not true. Africa is a huge, vast continent. There are deserts in Africa, there are tropical forests, there are savannas, there are mountains, there are, Africa, the entire continent of Africa is a beautiful, kind of enchanting, magical place. Yes, of course, there are terrible troubles. There are some African countries where people are starving. There are African countries where people are dying of thirst. There are African countries where there are terrorist organisations kidnapping women and killing people, and there are African countries where people are dying in huge numbers of HIV and AIDS and Ebola. But some of the lyrics in this song they just present the entire continent of Africa as this horrible, dark, miserable, ghoulish place of death. There's one line in the song, and I've made some notes just so that I get this dead right. And the line is, "Where a kiss of love can kill you, and there's death in every tear." Again, that's kind of suggesting that everywhere in Africa, people are dropping dead of disease and illness and pestilence, and if you kiss somebody you're gonna die, and obviously the tears on people's face are infectious. They're gonna spread disease and kill you, and this Ebola virus is a terrible thing, and every single person that dies from it obviously is a tragedy. But given the number of people that live in Africa and given the size of the continent of Africa, the numbers of people that are suffering is not huge. I think that there has been, for some reason, I think that the Western media is obsessed with exaggerating Ebola. I think there's an agenda within the Western media to exaggerate Ebola and tell us that, oh my God, Ebola's going to come to our shores and we're all going to die and everyone in Africa is dying, and that's just not true. So the lyrics in this song are offensive, I think, and they're a lie. And there's another line, again I'll quote directly: "There is no peace and joy in West Africa this Christmas." That's not actually true. People who live in African countries, and African countries in general, are very joyous, happy people. They dance, they sing, they smile. You ever see Africa on the news, all you ever see is sort of half-starved children with their ribs showing through their skin, and all you ever see of Africa is people laying on the floor in overworked hospitals dying of disease, and that is an inaccurate picture of what Africa and African countries are. African countries are not actually full of dying people, people dying of disease and hunger and thirst. Huge hundreds of millions of African people actually live quite a healthy life. Some African countries, people live an incredibly healthy life. The diet that they eat is fruit, vegetables, starch-based meals, which are incredibly healthy. Again, the song wants to spread this message that Africa's this terrible place, and it just isn't. There's also this idea that from the song that everybody in Africa is poverty stricken, and nobody's got any money to buy food, and everybody's suffering. And in fact, 7 out of 10 of the fastest growing economies in this world are found on the African continent. So yes, those economies are still far behind most of us in the West, wealthy West, Britain, America, Germany, Scandinavian countries. But 7 out of 10 of the fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. That suggests that this song and the message that's being broadcast by, saintly Sir Bob Geldofs and his band of manufactured pop stars, who are only doing it to raise money, it suggests that their message is not accurate, and in fact their message isn't accurate, it's a lie. Another thing that I found really quite offensive and quite worrying is the way that Adele, for instance, turned down the opportunity to appear on the song. She had made a private donation, I believe it was to Oxfam. That may not be 100% correct, but I read that in several sources. So Adele made a private contribution, a donation of money to Oxfam to help Ebola. She turned down the opportunity to appear on the song because she's bringing up her family. And Bob Geldofs, who I don't like as a human being anyway, has attacked her and sort of intimated that bringing up a family is not that important when you should be appearing on a song. That's just wrong, Everybody has the right to do what they want for charity. If Adele has given money to a charity that helps Ebola, that's fantastic. If she doesn't want to appear on a song, and if any other artist doesn't want to appear on a song, then they don't have to. It's their choice. And that artist and anyone else should not be attacked for making that decision to not appear. It's Adele's right and anybody else's right to say, no thank you, I'd rather not. So for Bob Geldofs to attack Adele in the press and sort of suggest that she's not a very generous person, because how dare Adele put raising her child above appearing on a song? That's ridiculous and it's pathetic. And so we move on to Bob Geldofs, who, as I said, I don't like. I think Bob Geldofs is not a particularly nice human being. It's been very interesting for me to watch him appearing on the media, and a lot of media people and journalists have been asking him questions about missing money that went missing from the original Band-Aid song. A lot of journalists have asked him about tax avoidance schemes that he may or may not have been involved in, and every time a journalist raises questions or directs a question to Bob Geldof about money and tax and missing money, he refuses to answer, and he basically just swears at them. He tells them to fuck off. He was on Sky News recently, and apparently they cut him off because they were asking him questions about tax and things, and he said bollocks twice. You know, this is... He comes across as a very, very unpleasant and, to be honest, quite a vile human being. And yes, he may have raised huge amounts of money for people in Africa, which is wonderful. The money he's raised and the publicity that he's brought to African plight is wonderful. But the message that he puts across, that the entire continent of Africa is kind of dying, is not true, and it is a lie. And the way that Bob Geldof talks to people, he refuses to answer any questions about tax avoidance and missing money. And some people might say that's his right, that his money is his money, and that's a private issue. But I do feel if you're going to appear on television, you know, wagging your finger at people and telling them that they should give money to other people, I think that your financial situation should be clear. You're asking people to give their hard-earned money to someone else, to help someone else. Your financial affairs should be in order. And if somebody asks you, you know, about tax avoidance, and he just swears at them, that's not on. If you're asking people to give money, you should be open and honest about money. But, you know, the way that he appears on television and says, it doesn't matter if it's a good song, just download it, just buy it, just give me your money. Everybody has the right to give money or not to give money. You or I might think somebody who doesn't give money is selfish and mean-spirited, but even if you feel that way, it's still their right not to give money. And the way that Bob Geldof just kind of comes on and says, give me your money, and I'm not going to answer any questions about my money, and I'm going to swear at everybody, and, you know, I think Bob Geldof is an unpleasant human being, and I think his aggressive tactics are not welcome. I also ask questions about the motives of a lot of the pop stars. I mean, let's be honest about it. The lineup for this single is not very good. There's a lot of kind of talentless, manufactured pop stars. There's a guy who was on the X Factor and didn't win. There are people who aren't even known that much as singers appearing on this song. And to be completely honest, if you hire a bunch of talentless manufactured pop stars to make a song, you end up with the song that you get, which is not a very good song. The quality of the song is bad. It's pretty terrible. So yeah, you know, when I listen to this, I've only listened to the song once because I can't actually stand to listen to it more than once because it's that bad. But when I did hear it, and then when I've seen Bob Geldof doing all the promotion, I just get this uneasy feeling that there's something cynical about this reincarnation. Is it the third? I believe it's the third incarnation of the Band-Aid single. And whilst I applaud the money that it's going to raise, I do feel that this time round there's something cynical and negative about it. I suspect that a great number of the manufactured pop stars recording this single are probably not doing it for the right reason. It's coming up to Christmas. Pop stars, manufactured pop stars, tend to put out new albums and new DVDs and new Blu-rays and new merchandise at Christmas. And I suspect that a lot of these manufactured pop stars are doing this single because it will help them to promote their new Christmas present items, let's say. So yeah, I just feel there's something cynical and something negative about this. It's going to raise a lot of money, which is great, but there's something just makes me feel uneasy and a bit, you know, gets under my skin. So yeah, that's just my point of view. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to disagree. Some of you might agree. So please, if you agree or if you disagree, please leave comments underneath this video, because I'd like to know if there's anyone else out there who has this slightly uneasy feeling that there's something cynical and something negative about Band-Aid 30. If you do feel that I'm wrong, let me know. I welcome any debate. Everybody has the right to their opinions. However, if you leave any comments that are abusive, I may well delete them. So if you disagree, make your point in an intelligent, reasoned way. Please subscribe to my channel. I make lots of different kinds of videos. Click like if you like it. Subscribe, leave a comment, tell me if you agree or disagree. But I'm really interested to know if anyone watching this agrees with my feeling of cynicism, or am I just being, overly cynical. So yeah, I hope you like this video. Please subscribe, please share this video on as many social media formats as you can. I'm gonna leave it at that, so take care everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you. Bye. Morning folks. Hey, how you all doing? It's Mark here. I hope you're all well wherever you are in the world. I thought I'd make a different kind of video today. This is just going to be me giving an opinion about something, so I hope you're all going to like it. This is going to be quite a controversial subject, so I suspect some people might be upset about this, but hey, we're all entitled to an opinion, and it's about the Band-Aid 30 single, Do They Know It's Christmas? For those of you who may not know, they've made another version of the original Band-Aid song to try and raise money for Ebola, to fight Ebola and for the victims of Ebola in Africa. I don't know, there's something that makes me feel very uncomfortable about this, and again, this is just my opinion. It comes across to me as a sort of cynical exercise in self-promotion, self-promoting Bob Geldofs, self-promoting the manufacturers, the awful manufactured pop stars that are taking part. The first thing that immediately leaps out to me about the song is that it's an awful song. It sounds as if they've recorded it in somebody's bathtub. It sounds echoey and tinny, and the singing on the actual song is not of any kind of decent quality. So the song itself is terrible. Okay, that's probably not that important, because it's going to Western culture with portraying Africa as this kind of, the entire continent of Africa as this kind of diseased, infected, pestilential, poverty-stricken place, where everybody is kind of starving to death and dropping dead with disease and illness and terrorism and stuff, and that's just not true. Africa is a huge, vast continent. There are deserts in Africa, there are tropical forests, there are savannas, there are mountains, raise a huge ton of money to help people who are suffering. So maybe the quality of the song isn't very important. The second thing that leaps out at me, and this is probably something else that is a bit more serious, and I feel very strongly about this, is I find there are a number of lyrics in this song that are actually, some of the lyrics are actually an offensive lie. There seems to be an obsession in Western media, mass media,